Today's adventure begins in Searcy, Arkansas. We're going to go hang out in southeast Missouri for a few days. Michael, as a new father, has done the decency of not locking me in an enclosed vehicle. He's practicing so that he doesn't leave William in an enclosed vehicle. Michael was asking for a baskin. Got the pralines and cream. In May of 2021, I was getting near the end of my intern year, and I planned a trip to the Buffalo River in Arkansas with Michael to go backpacking. The weather didn't cooperate, and it looked like we were going to get 3 or 4 straight days of storms. So instead, I decided to visit a few places I was familiar with in southeast Missouri, and also a couple new ones. First stop of the tour is Millstream Gardens Recreation Area. This is the Tiemann Shut-ins. Kelsey and I came here around a year ago, and I jumped in there. It's a pretty strong current. Wow. Well, we're at the Castor Mountain lookout tower. But just beyond Castor Mountain is Wildcat Mountain. And that's where we're going to spend the night tonight. All right, we're back. Michael's observed that he's actually on the Missouri high point.
Well, you need to climb the tree to get to the highest point.
Yeah. So we're at the divergence point. This is the Mina Sauk Falls trail. I found some guy's GPX file that leads out to Wildcat Mountain. So we're gonna head off that way into the woods. There's a little saddle between Castor Mountain and Wildcat Mountain, and I think it's only about a mile hike. We found a random glade on the west side of Castor Mountain. We're just walking through the woods. There's no trail out here. Really beautiful, some nice open views. Down over here, there's a nice flat spot for a campsite. Some fire rings. We're on the south face of Wildcat Mountain. Got a pretty nice view. This is about as good as it gets when you're in Missouri. You can see just layers of hills. We saw a bat fly by pretty recently, and we've never been happier to see a bat, because it might eat some of these blasted gnats that have been harassing us ever since we arrived at this campsite. Well, we looked all over the mountain last night, expecting that the actual campsite would be more on the west side. But all we ended up finding was a trap for wild hogs. Someone had this bait container hooked up to a tree. There were just tons of hog prints around. A lot of mud was all churned up. That was the only other place that was flat that we found, and we didn't figure that was a great place to set up camp. So we're here on the south side of the mountain. This seems to be the best place to actually camp. we're going to see about possibly hiking down the mountain toward Mina Sauk Falls rather than heading straight back toward Tiemann Mountain. Well, we were following this old faint four-wheeler track. Now we're just kind of bushwhacking our way down to Mina Sauk Falls. Hopefully it doesn't get too dense. Some places yesterday were pretty dense. We were getting whacked in the face by a lot of branches. When through the woods and forest glades we wander. This is a pretty nice open glade. Not a whole lot of flat ground for a tent though. It got dense. We're only probably 400, 500 feet from the falls now, but the last steep descent is pretty thick. We got him. Had my second annual shower in Mina Sauk Falls. We've got a mighty nice vista here. The waterfall is so impressive. There's like 4 or 5 catchment pools that, because it goes down so steep. That right up there is Wildcat Mountain. So we came down the southeast side and it never got like dangerously steep. And that brought us down to the base of Mina Sauk Falls. Our next destination is Lower Rock Creek. It's a little trail with a backpacking campsite we're looking forward to spending the night at. We've been referring to Abby's Lexus as Old Faithful, and we've been building up its self-esteem this whole time, so hopefully it won't fail us now. We found a very fluffy dog. Yes, you're very friendly.
He's wagging his little stump tail.
We have no idea who they belong to, but they were by this car. Yes. Very friendly dog. Still haven't seen a human. These dogs are leading / following us down this trail. Hopefully their owners are actually this way and not somewhere completely different. I think we're at Lower Rock Creek. Pretty similar to Tiemann Mountain with all the rhyolite rock formations. The dogs ran off. Well, our friendly fellow in a loincloth who walked by said the dogs aren't his. And he hasn't seen any people up the trail, so I have no idea where those dogs came from. This little canyon area opened up. Looking forward to where this leads us. Michael associates flowers with dead people, and he said, I smell dead people. And we looked up, and here's some azaleas blooming in the woods. So I'm just across the creek from our campground for the night. There's a little campsite with just enough room for about 2 tents, a really big fire ring. This is Cathedral Canyon. There's these nice little waterfalls running through. And the cliff face goes up pretty high. You can't really see it through the trees too easily. Here's a little bit better view of the cliff face. We're getting moved in. We'll spend 1 or 2 nights here. Michael's already got his drawers hanging. Nice big fire pit. Room for another tent. And the river's down there. Here's the morning light on the canyon. We've been super blessed with weather. I think for the whole trip there was like a 1% chance of rain. We were originally planning on going to the Buffalo River in Arkansas this trip, but for like 4 straight days it was pounded by thunderstorms. So this just seemed much more appealing. We're heading back downstream. We're gonna look for a swimming hole, stop, make some lunch, and go for a swim. Just downstream, there's a nice blue swimming hole where there's some deeper water, but can't really access it by the bank, so we're just gonna have to wade upstream a little bit. Got some pea soup for you if you want. Michael's attempting to fish with the mesh fabric from his chair. We'll see how fruitful this is. The algae on these rocks is pretty slip. Michael had a tumble and now the bottom half of his pack is wet. One might call this a slippery slope fallacy. Check out the snake. Oh, there he goes. Lower Rock Creek keeps going that way. We actually end up crossing over it on a bridge on our way in here. But the trail heads back that way into the woods. So should be to the car pretty soon. Well, our last swimming hole to check out in Arcadia Valley is the Castor Shut-ins. They're famous for their pink granite. This right over here is a nice water slide. This was our campsite for the night here on this beach. Exactly 1 year ago to the day, Kelsey, Caitlin, and I were here. Right on the edge of the Castor River. When we walked into camp, it was absolutely disgusting. Here there was a ring of stones with probably 20 pounds of garbage just dumped in it, which was partly burnt. Hung it up in that trash bag. We ended up increasing the height of the trash bag after we saw a huge coon walk by. But we cleaned the place up a bunch, and it's a pretty nice campsite. Sat by the fire for probably just 4 hours poking at it, because that's what you do when you're camping. Well, finished the trip the same way we started, asking for a baskin. This concludes the Wright exploration of southeast Missouri.